All right. In this training module, you'll be learning about the different brake types found in a typical U.S. freight locomotive. Take a seat in the engineer's position. Now you'll go through the steps needed to take over this locomotive. This locomotive has 3 types of brakes: independent, automatic, and dynamic. And the operation of them can be counterintuitive until you get the hang of how they work. The independent brake applies brakes on just the locomotives and should be used when running a light loco or performing hill starts. They respond very quickly, but won't be of great use when you've got a long, heavy train behind you. The automatic brake applies brakes on the entire formation and should be used when bringing a consist to a stop, assisting the dynamic brakes on steep descents, or otherwise making more substantial speed decreases. These brakes are slow to respond, and you can't partially release them. So if you want a bit less braking, you have to release them entirely, wait for the system to repressurize, and then you can reapply. The dynamic brake uses the locomotive's traction motors to slow the train down. These can be very effective at controlling your speed on descents, and are mostly effective between around 10 and 30 miles per hour. Either side of that, you're going to need one of the other brake systems. There are several gauges used to describe what is happening in the brake system of this locomotive, and they're common to a wide range of locomotives. The brake cylinder, or BC gauge, tells you the amount of pressure going directly onto the wheels. Now, this is ultimately how much braking effort is stopping your train. If it's 0, the train is not applying any brakes. The independent brake lever directly controls this, but be aware that this is only reporting the state of the brake cylinder on your own locomotive, and not the rest of the train. Apply the independent brake now to full, and notice that the BC... The brake pipe, or BP gauge, tells you the amount of pressure on the brake pipe that extends the length of the entire train. On U.S. freight, this is pressurized to 90 psi as normal. The brake pipe serves 2 functions. One is to provide air to all the freight cars down the length of the train so they can charge their own reservoirs. The other is that its pressure controls what the other vehicles do with their brakes. At 90 psi, the brakes on all vehicles will be released. As the brake pressure in the brake pipe drops below 90 psi, the other vehicles will apply brakes. Depending on the length of your train, changing the pressure on the brake pipe can be quite time-consuming, whether charging it up to release the brakes or reducing the pressure to apply them. And this is the reason that automatic brakes are tricky to use. The brake pipe works in conjunction with another system called the equalizing reservoir. Because charging the brake pipe is time-consuming, and you don't want to be watching that to find the right pressure, the equalizing reservoir is a much faster responding gauge and is what you primarily use to control the brake pipe. The automatic brake handle controls the equalizing reservoir. Apply the brakes a little with a lever, it'll cause the equalizing Release the automatic brake, and you will see the equalizing reservoir rapidly. Now, there are some key behaviors of this system to remember. The longer the formation, the slower the brake pipe will be to respond. You cannot partially release automatic brakes. If you are braking too much, you may need to fully release the brakes, allow the brake pipe to get back to 90 psi again, and then you can reapply them. This should be carefully considered, however, as you will have no air brakes during this time. Bring the train to a stop in the indicated position using the automatic brake. Well, that concludes this training module. It's covered a lot of theory, but understanding the way these brakes work will help you understand why your train reacts the way it does. These freight trains are nothing like modern passenger trains with fast-acting and fully controllable brakes, but equally, they must manage massive, long, and heavy trains on steep gradients, an entirely different kind of challenge. Run this module again in the training center, and repeat it any time you need a refresher.